everybody. Welcome to Sportsbet TV with me, Paul Alster. Welcome along. I hope you have enjoyed your Christmas and you've enjoyed your Christmas racing. There's been some fantastic action, although some of it was lost in the fog at various points around Britain and Ireland. But nonetheless, some very, very enjoyable racing and some, in particular, outstanding highlights at Kempton Park with Nicky Henderson carrying all before him. I've got two free selections for you here at Sportsbet for Saturday. So do stick around if you want to hear those. If you're new to the service, press the subscribe button just below the screen and you'll be able to get all my free selections as and when they are posted. If you're interested in more than two selections for Saturday, then click on the description box just beneath this screen where you can consider joining me at Out in Front, where I have four selections for Saturday, and I'll be tipping just about every day through into the new year in what is a very busy period. Well, I had two selections for you, as it turned out, on Boxing Day, because one of our three choices, Era Street, was a non-runner. I would advise you to keep an eye out for Era Street, because I think it didn't run because the ground wasn't quite soft enough. So put that one in your notebook or on your horses to follow system with a number of different websites that offer that service. I think Era Street is one to keep on the right side. The other two, well, Bingo, who appear to be running very well in the fog as they raced down towards the final flight at Aintree, suddenly disappeared and eventually finished seventh. I'm not quite sure what happened there, but he obviously faded, having seemed to be going quite well after two out, but we really didn't see enough to know what went on. We did see enough to understand that Brave Man's Game, much as I love the old horse, and much as he gave it a good go chasing Ile Francais for a very long way, is not the horse of old. And I'm afraid he's either going to be pensioned off or he's going to be competing at a lower level in future. Now, two selections for you for Saturday. Let me take you to the very first of those. Limerick 2:15. They're both in Ireland, these, where I think to a great extent the best racing is over the weekend. The Limerick 2:15 is a 2.5 mile listed handicap chase, yielding to soft ground and 15 runners. And the owner trainer, Michael McDonough, won this very race 12 months ago with Happy Dreams. And his positive thinker was taken out of a race at Leopardstown today on Friday in order to travel to Limerick to try and follow up the win of his stable companion in last year's renewal. Now he has a solid chance too, having failed by just a short head to land the Cork Grand National last time out. But that was over 3.5 miles, and this is a mile shorter. So it is not beyond the bounds of possibility that positive thinker might find this tip a little bit on the sharp side for him. La Malmaison for Gavin Cromwell has plenty going for her. She's a possible favourite, having won nicely on her seasonal return over around this trip at Fairyhouse 4 weeks ago. With Connor Stone Walsh being excellent value for his £5 claim, he offsets half of the £10 rise incurred for that recent win, and the pair should go very close, I think, to winning this. Cromwell also runs Law Ella, who is not at all without a chance, but will need to tidy up her jumping if she's going to figure in the finish. The top weight is the Big Chap, trained by Paul Flynn, who ran very well over this trip last time out in the listed Fox Rock handicap chase at Navan, where he finished third of the 19 runners at massive odds of 8.080 to 1. Now, he's been kept very busy through the autumn and has won 2 of his last 5 starts to go with that excellent third place, so absolutely will not lack for fitness. He's another to have a good £5 claimer on board, this time in the shape of Aidan Kelly. Embittered, trained by Eric McNamara, ran better here last time in the 3 mile Grade 3 Munster National than his eventual 8th place suggests, and having been eased a further pound, he could outrun his odds dropping back in distance. Enchantress for Henry de Bromhead, whose horses are going well, they're in good form, shaped very nicely, first time out this season at Punchestown last month, and is another to add into the mix in a hot race for the grade, although Chantreuse does find winning pretty hard. He keeps finding one or two too good. Now the selection here, I'm hoping is going to be a value bet, and it's trained by Willie Mullins and is the mount of Danny Mullins, and this is Glenn Gooley, a horse who has put up his best efforts on his first few runs of the last 2 campaigns. 2 seasons ago, he won nicely at Thurles on his seasonal return, and last season he ran a cracker to be runner-up to Happy Dreams in this very race on heavy ground. Heavy ground probably not ideal for him. His second to Ain't That a Shame the time after in the Thyestes chase at Gowran Park was another cracking effort in heavy ground. And then he disappointed at the Cheltenham Festival, even though he ran with credit for a little way, and again ran with credit for much of the way in the Grand National at Aintree before he unseated his rider as he was getting tired at the 4th from home in the Grand National itself. Now, on a surface that is going to suit him, Glenn Gooley should go well fresh, and at 11 to 1 each way for 4 places at the time of this recording with Coral and Betfred, I think Glenn Gooley is going to give us a really good run for our money. That's Glenn Gooley in the 2:15 at Limerick. And then a little bit later on in Ireland at the other meeting at Leopardstown, the 3:05 race is the 23 runner, 2 miles 7 furlong Pertemps Network handicap hurdle, and the going there is a little better, yielding good to yielding in places. This is a qualifier for the final, that is one of the biggest betting races at the Cheltenham Festival in March, and there are plenty of horses in this race who have a chance. And among those, there'll be plenty of connections who'll be keen to ensure that they finish in a place at least in order to book themselves a ticket for Prestbury Park in March. Now, I'm going to be backing 2 horses in the race, both of which I think are value, but they're very different prices. One of them I'm recommending for you here at Sportsbet. The other one, which is a much bigger price, something of an outsider, I'm recommending at Out in Front. But the horse that I fancy and I think is going to run really well for us here at Sportsbet is called Win Some, Lose Some. Wasn't it ever the case? It's trained by Podrick Roach and the mount of Mark Walsh. And unusually for a race of this nature with so many runners in a hot handicap in Ireland, it's the only runner for leading Irish jumps owner JP McManus. Now, after appearing to be nothing out of the ordinary, initially, this 5-year-old began to show improved form in the summer when he won a 2.5 mile handicap hurdle under the lady rider, very good lady rider, Anya O'Connor at Wexford in July on decent ground. He then flopped on his next start when he couldn't handle soft ground, but bounced back at Clonmel in October to win nicely on good to yielding going. He was then stepped up to the listed Brown Lad handicap hurdle at Navan last month over 2.5 miles. That's a race that often throws up lots of horses to follow through the season. It's a really hot race at Navan in November. And the Champs-Élysées gelding had plenty to do 2 out. Looked like he was not going to have any semblance of a chance to be anywhere near the leaders, but then suddenly started on a good run down the outside of the field and stayed on really strongly over the last 3 furlongs to eventually finish 4th. And that hinted that a further step up in trip would serve him really well. I think this 2 miles 7 furlongs is an excellent stepping stone. And having originally seen him up at 8 to 1, then back down to 15 to 2 and 7 to 1, it looks like somebody's got the money on, whether it's JP McManus or people around him, or I don't know. But there's been money for Win Some, Lose Some, and he's now a best priced 13 to 2 chance. So 13 to 2, Win Some, Lose Some, and that's for 7 places with Sky Bet. They are the best offer at the time of this recording. I think he's going to run a massive race. I've got a feeling they really are keen to get him qualified, and he's one of the 2 that I'll be backing in this race. And the other one, I can tell you this much, available at 33 to 1. If you want to find out what that one is, then do consider joining me at Out in Front, where you can find just how to join me by clicking on the link in the description box below this very screen. But that's it, and this is my final video bulletin for you for 2024, where I have to hold my hands up and say that for the first time in the 4 years that we've been running this service, this hasn't been as good a year as I would have hoped. The first 3 years were all very nicely profitable. This year we won't be showing a profit. I'll be posting all the details in due course when we've done all the reckoning. But of course you can't win them all. And as the horse says, that I'm tipping you here as it happens in this final bulletin, you win some and you lose some. So 3 years winning, 1 year in the red. I'm hoping that 2025 proves to be the year that we get back to winning ways. And I hope that you'll be following me. Remember, of course, you're not obliged to back any of the horses that I tip. It's just there for you to consider, and just a view from me as somebody who's been in this racing game as a commentator, a journalist, a broadcaster, a breeder, a racing manager, a form analyst, you name it, for 40 years. Anyway, enjoy your racing, whatever you're backing. And most importantly, I want to wish you all a very, very happy, healthy, and peaceful 2025. Bye-bye from me. Bye-bye.